Dude, you gotta tell the story about, like, you like witnessed a murder in Los Osos.
Me?
Yeah. Some like old man and like his wife went missing.
Oh,
He's on me?
No, I witnessed bro, I thought you were talking about this other time. I witnessed a murder.
It sounded like someone died.
I witnessed a
in Los
murder
Osos.
another time, but for real. I seen someone get stabbed up. That shit was gnarly. That was in New Zealand too. But that was like, yeah. But anyways, but the one
Tell the Osos story.
Yeah, I'll tell the
That
Osos
one's
one.
hard, dude.
I'll tell the Osos one. That one's crazy.
And like full detail. 'Cause
Yeah.
You told it to me. When you told it to me, it was like a 30-minute story.
Oh yeah. I'll try to remember. I'll try to remember it all. But
I like staying with.
But
someone?
essentially, yeah, me and Mojo. That was when me and Mojo were living at like the fucking. We were living in like this real bad house. Like
The one above the bar?
yeah, the one above the liquor
The
store.
liquor store.
What year is this? Like
Yeah, this was
2018?
2018, 2019 maybe. Yeah, 2018 probably. And yeah, me and Mojo were living. We had just moved out of like Diane's house, or no, we had just. Wait, what time was this? Oh yeah, no. So this was at the end of when we were living at this house, above the liquor store in Los Osos, and we were staying there. And next thing you know, like shit got all fucked up, and we had to leave. For some reason, the tenant that was there before, before us still had his name on a bunch of the utilities, and he like stopped paying a bunch of the utilities, so we had to leave. And that's when I hit up some dude on Craigslist, because that's how we used to get most of our rooms. Just hit up people on Craigslist that have places for rent, and yeah, pull up with some money. And so I hit up this fool on Craigslist, and he was like, yeah, I've got a room 2 girls just moved out of. And I was like, okay, safe. Like, could me and the bro come live in the room? And he was like, yeah, all good. And it was pretty good prices and all that, you know. Like, I was like, sweet. And it was in a nice area. It was in, like, Cabrillo Estates in Los Osos. So it's like this, like rich area, like up on the hill, kind of like overlooks MDO, Montana de Oro and whatnot. It's beautiful. And me and Mojo like moved up there, and it was interesting. It was a pretty cool spot. Like, we were living with this old dude and his wife, who was like he was probably like 75 or some shit, but he was still like active, like grown man, you know, like still doing his thing, you know, getting to it. And he was essentially like a native, like grew up on a reservation. He was like sort of Native American, but he was I don't know exactly what they call it, but he was mixed. Like, his dad was white, and so he like took after his dad. He looked all white and stuff, and he had all kinds of stories about like what it was like growing up on the reservation and all this shit. And he was one of those guys where like if you get him talking, like he never stops. Like you could sit there and he would just talk for like 2 hours.
That shit was above the liquor store?
No, this is when we moved from the crib above the liquor store.
Oh.
And we moved to like Cabrillo Estates, and we were living with this old dude and his wife.
Okay.
And essentially, so we were living there, and it was just that sort of thing. And like we would go out in his backyard, and me and Mojo would like snap up and like look out over MDO, and it was cool. And like it was different than a lot of the places we had lived before, because before we had been living with like a bunch of crackheads, like just people getting fucked up and smoking crack and just doing weird shit. And like it was just bad, because it's you know, it can be pretty difficult, like when you don't have any credit and you can't, you know, get co-signers for housing and all that, and you know, you kind of just forced to take what you can get, like, you know what I mean? So you end up living in some situations. So me and Mojo were feeling pretty blessed being in this house, but fuck, we were only there for probably like 2.5, 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks or some shit. And then that's when like in the middle of the night, just one night, this fool's wife just disappeared, like out of nowhere. It was so weird. Like the night before she was there, like we'd seen her, we were all chilling, like we would like be going out to the kitchen to cook shit, and we'd like bump into them in the living room. And anyways, and she was there. And then we woke up the next day and she was gone. And we were like, that's weird. And like we didn't see her anywhere and shit all day. And then we talked to Jim, and Jim was like, oh, she left a note in the mailbox talking about like, oh, I left or some shit. But we never seen the note or nothing, and like none of her shit was ever packed up. So that was pretty weird, and we were like pretty confused about what was going on. And then it sort of just started getting weirder. Like Jim started like, I don't know, he started getting weird, and he like wasn't showering no more, changing his clothes, and he was being all weird, and just on anyways. And then
how long?
this is only after a few days.
Oh.
This is like after a few days after she disappeared. And then he kept talking about, oh, she's going to send somebody to, like, pick up her stuff or like, I don't know, something like that. And then, like, nobody was coming for, like, a minute. We were there for, like, probably a week after that. Like, just, like, what the fuck's going on, you know? Like, where's this fool's wife? Like, this is weird.
What'd the note say?
We never saw it.
Mm.
He just said that she left a note in the mailbox saying that she left him. But they were old, you know? It was pretty odd. And anyways, one day, like, this dude came over in, like, a suit and was, like, talking with him in the living room for, like, a good couple hours. And, like, I wasn't really, like, within earshot to be able to hear what they were saying, so I don't know, I wasn't really paying too much attention. And then after the dude left, like, Jim got mad. He got weird. He got, like, on some really sus, like, well, what's going on, like that. Anyways, and he started like tripping himself out because when the dude left, he didn't get into a car right outside the house. He like ran down the road and like out of eyesight, and I think that like sketched Jim out for whatever reason because he didn't see the guy's car and he like went away, like ran off down the road. And so Jim was like to me like, could I borrow your bike? And I was like no, like, don't borrow my bike. Like, that's a bad idea, you know? Like, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I was like, you know, one of the brakes is out and shit. And he's like, oh, I want to ride down the hill and, like, find that guy. And at this point, it had already been, like, 30 minutes since the guy left. So, like, the guy was gone. And he's like, I gotta find the guy. All this shit. And he took my bike. And I didn't even know, but me and Mojo are sitting there in the room, and then all we hear is, and he must have hit the bad brake, going down the hill because that shit just locks, like it just fucking, like. Anyways, and I was like, oh, and me and Mojo just looked at each other like, oh shit, we heard that out the window. Oh, all bad. And then I was like, went out to the living room. And then he comes like back to the house, bro, and he's so fucked up. Like his whole shoulder's broken. He's all fucking scratched and like bloody down his whole side. Like he's fucked up. But he's got that like, I don't even know what it is, that old warrior mentality where he like felt no pain. You know what I mean? And I'm like Jim, you gotta go to the hospital. And he's like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm perfectly fine. Like, nothing's wrong. And I'm like looking at his shit, it's all like, oh, fucked up. And like, I looked in his shirt, and that shit was all purple in there, and like, it was bad. Didn't look right. It looked real wrong. And he was all scratched and bleeding and shit. And so I called the ambulance and whatnot, and they like took him in. And they like patched him all up and did all this shit and like put his arm in this sling because I guess he broke his like collarbone or whatever.
Fuck.
He snapped his collarbone and shit. And so then he was back at the house like a couple hours later, and he like he like literally took the sling off. And I was like, Jim, what are you doing? And he's like, the doctor said I can take it off when it feels better. Like, and I was like, bro, you can't take it off right now. Like, it was so bad. And so we were only there for like a few more days, and yeah, we never got any answers. Like, nobody ever came to pick up her shit. Jim was all fucked up. Like, he was just letting his arm like hang, so like his shit was all bad. He still never changed his clothes. It was like 2 weeks later. He was still in like the same clothes, like all fucked up, and like the wife was all disappeared. And then me and Mojo were like, we gotta get out of here. We're like, situation is going to shit, you know, like out of nowhere. It was like and at that point we'd been there for like a month, and so we were like, fuck. And so that's what Huh?
I thought someone died.
Yeah, it seems like the wife did.
You never knew if she got killed.
Yeah, we never knew, but
Oh,
Jim
I
used
thought
to.
You knew I thought someone got stabbed, like for real.
Oh no! It's,
That's
No.
kind of a creepy story.
That's a weird story, though.
Yeah.
Where did their marriage seem good?
Nah, it was definitely some stresses going on in their marriage. Like,
That's funny as fuck. You told that nigga not to ride the bike.
I know. I told him I was like,
Damn, you
I was like, don't ride it. But nah, yeah, I think there was some stresses going on. Like, I could tell they weren't, seeing like completely eye to eye and shit. And like, they had just moved like one of their sons out, and like, I guess he was like just dating for the first time, and then he was like dating this MILF and all this shit, and that was causing all this conflict with them because they were like, why is this like young man, like he's never dated before, like now he's dating this real grown woman, and they're all worried for him. And anyways, they had like differing opinions on what to do. Like, I'm pretty sure like the wife didn't want like him to see that chick, and the dude was like, nah, it's cool or whatever. So anyways, they, but I don't know, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it definitely didn't seem like, I don't know, it's definitely hit us out of nowhere when she like just was gone. Like, it was like weird for sure.
How long were you guys living there total?
But Jim used to like to talk about his 44 Magnum a lot too, so I don't know. He used to always be talking about his 44 Magnum. That was pretty crazy, but it's not like we heard any gunshots or anything, but it's just sort of an interesting story. Like, who knows what happened.
How long were you guys living there total?
Like a month.
Did you guys have to put in like a 2-week notice?
Nah.
It was literally like peace.
Because it was all like just